will.
You're not answering my question, Melvester. Like, you've been doing good. You've been doing really good just answering my stuff. But right now it seems like you don't want to say it about me.
What you think I should say?
Do you think I hate black people?
I can only say what I see you do. I can't read your mind. I haven't got that good yet.
Have you seen me do something to a black person that would constitute you saying Caleb hates all black people?
I won't say that.
Okay.
I won't say that. I do say this, that you have been affected by the environment that you come up in.
Okay. Can I read a quote from your book? This is page 116 of Message to the Black Man by Elijah Muhammad, and it says, the Yaqub made devils were really pale white with really blue eyes, which we think are the ugliest of colors for a human eye. They were all Caucasian, which means, according to some of the Arab scholars, one whose evil effect is not confined to oneself alone but affects others. So what you just said a moment ago, that skin color alone doesn't make a person evil, but your book just said that I'm evil because I'm ugly. I'm white and I have blue eyes and I'm the ugliest I could be, and that makes me evil. That's your book.
Well, then, even you all preached in the Bible, we was cursed at the time of Ham because we black.
The Bible does not say
people
because
preach that, and they still, and some people still think that.
Wait a minute. So do you agree with that quote? The Yaqub made devils were really pale white with really blue eyes, which we think are the ugliest of colors for a human eye. They're all Caucasian, and that means one whose evil effect is not confined to oneself alone but affects others. Do you agree with that?
I agree with everything the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said.
Okay, now, so you stand by your book, and I'm saying about the Bible, you are not quoting the Bible accurately. The Bible did not say that Ham is cursed because he's black. I mean, you're just making that up.
No, that's what they preach. They preach that. And I know they preach that because I've heard it. There's a lot of things in the Bible that people preach, but it's not in the Bible.
Yeah. So.
And people preach that Jesus, when you had them presidents up there, Billy Graham was up there, right?
I had Billy Graham on the screen.
Billy Graham was a pretty good preacher because he told the people that Jesus was a black man. Billy Graham did do that. You know that?
And you just said, what would that accomplish? You said skin color alone doesn't make you good or evil.
But you know what? Nature. The Bible talk about the goat and the sheep, right? Now, how do you determine which one he talking about when you're talking about the goat and the sheep?
Here's my thing.
How do you hook the sheep to the people or the goat to the people? You know how?
I don't know why, Malvester, that so many.
You do it by their nature. You do it by their nature. The sheep is an animal that one man can herd a whole flock of them.
I don't know why you have answered all these.
And the goat, he got locks. And he rowdy.
I don't know why.
Now, which one you think is the black people?
I don't know why you have answered all these other questions so clearly, but now that it's like when we're talking about me personally, you won't answer them. And then you said, my nature, and then you said also things that I have been taught, right? So, yeah. I mean, did I learn those things directly from my dad?
You learned it from the education system.
Do you think that my dad hates black people?
He probably did at one time.
Okay, and so
he might be he done got better as he learned to read the book.
Which book?
But at one time I believe, because he older. I know he did.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You said, I know it of Johnny because he's older, but I'm not old. I'm 30.
I know you're not.
I'm 31.
But you still got some of that venom in you.
Malvester, that is crazy that you get to say to me that I'm 31 and you're saying I have like this. Do you think I hate black people? You're not.
Proudly say.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is What Does the Bible Say? My name is Caleb Robertson. I am a Christian. I am a member of the body of Christ. And let me do this with you real quick. When I say I'm a Christian, I am not Baptist. I don't support Baptist. I'm not Pentecostal. I do not support Pentecostal sect. I'm not Methodist. I'm not any of that stuff. And when I say I'm a member of the body of Christ, when you read your Bible, just like I read my Bible, right? We got the same Bible. There's only one church in there. And about the only difference they had going was location. The church at Corinth, the church at Ephesus, church at Thessalonica. But you do not find denominations in there. So tonight as you're watching, I'm a Christian. I'm a member of the body of Christ. I'm in the church of Christ. I've been baptized into Christ. I have my faith in Christ. That's the biggest thing structuring my life, is that I want to be a Christian. The things that I do, I want to try to surround the decisions I make on biblical principles. What does the Bible say? These are our air times. Now, this is a local broadcast. I live in Virginia, okay? And the television station that we have historically used broadcasts into Virginia and into North Carolina. Sometimes we have extra airtime that goes out onto like the East Coast at the Atlantic of Virginia, North Carolina. Sometimes we have airtime over there. But this is local. I'm a local citizen. I have neighbors, and I recognize I have people who watch on YouTube, and they say, well, we don't know any of these people. Let me tell you something, YouTube audience. You got this stuff cooking in your backyard, and I have no clue, no clue why wherever you are, y'all don't get involved. I've been to city council meetings. I write in the local newspaper. We buy local airtime on television. We door knock in the local community. So this is what we had first. The local government basically enlisting local sectarian leaders. Mayor Jones, L.C. Jones, said on a Pentecostal TV station, we need to go back to the historical idea, he said, of utilizing the power of the pastor. Look, I don't agree with any of these sectarian pastors, missionary Baptists, Independent Baptist, Pentecostal, United Methodist. I do not agree with any of them. These two are not going to teach what the New Testament says on water baptism, okay? They're out here teaching belief only. The New Testament does not teach that. Alan Preston does not speak in tongues. No Pentecostal speaks in tongues. They don't heal anybody. They don't have miraculous power. She's not a pastor. She is absolutely rebellious to what the New Testament says. So, I'm out here, and look, they all live in the community with me, and I put all these people on TV. Don't hate any of them, but I want to have the conversation. Now, we went from this to this, and this is what we're talking about tonight. On January 19th, which was a Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, I went to this event. I don't understand it. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. Number 1, J.C. Richardson, Apostolic, Charismatic Holiness. Martin Luther King attached himself more to the Baptist sect, okay? Religiously speaking, Martin Luther King does not agree with him, and he doesn't agree with Martin Luther King, religiously speaking. But I see this advertiser on the internet, and it says Sunday, where? Mount Sinai Apostolic Church. Mount Sinai Apostolic. Hosted by who? Bishop J.C. Richardson Jr., pastor. So that's like calling yourself doctor for non-religious folk who don't know. In the New Testament, a bishop and a pastor are the same office. J.C. Richardson apparently loves to have titles, which is in Matthew chapter 23. The Pharisees love to be praised by men. Rabbi. He loves to be praised by men. Bishop, pastor, doctor. Well, they invite Aretha. I've heard her name be Ferrell and on. Miss Benavides. That's what I'm going to call her, Mrs. Benavides. But they invite Mrs. Benavides to be like the keynote speaker at an apostolic sect. And they list city manager of Martinsville. Is this city business? What does this have to do with local government? And I asked Mrs. Benavides when it was done, I said, I came to hear you talk. I said through the whole thing, shake her hand. I gave her a book. I gave her a copy of Muscle and a Shovel. And we're talking, and I said, are you here on official city business, or are you here as a private citizen? And she said, I'm here on Mrs. Benavides' business. And I said, yes. But is that city business? Or is that private citizen business? And she smiled and she said, private citizen business. That talk sure was political. It certainly wasn't about anything theological. It's in a sect, a denomination. It's on a Sunday. This was not Bible study. This was politics. I don't understand how it is that and it's not like discussions on morality, right? Someone says, well, Caleb, religion is going to have to enter the civil conversation at some point. Marriage. I got to tell you, I do not like a bunch of stuff that the government has done with marriage. And I tell you, 1969, when Ronald Reagan put no-fault divorce into California law, was one of the worst things that Ronald Reagan ever did. I do not like a bunch of the stuff that the state does in the name of, dabbling in religion. I don't like that. But when we start to say, well, Caleb, religion has to come at some point because morals. We're not getting moral talks at these meetings. We're getting something totally different. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and start out and let y'all hear what I heard Sunday afternoon. It's about a 40-minute talk. Perplexing. Listen to this.
To you today, the city government is becoming more diverse. And the quote and the rumors that we may frequently hear about the black and the brown side, well, it's real. We serve in a community that is 51% black and brown while representing less than 20% of our city workforce. But just as hard as I've worked to get to where I am and waited for my time while my peers move forward, these individuals have earned their place at the table through their education, their experience, and their hard work. Martinsville, our challenge and task is to ensure the future of those to come. But we still have work to do.
Let's do it one more time.
Proudly say to you today, the city government is becoming more diverse. And the quote...
What? The government. What do you want to hear from the government? Don't you want to hear results? Yeah. Don't you want to hear efficiency? Yes. Would you like to hear lower cost? Yes. More money in your pocket? Yes. What are we hearing? We're hearing gender and skin color. That's it. That's what the government is concerned about. Local government. Gender. How many women? How many women? What color are they? That's it. We don't have any Asians on city council. This was at a church, an apostolic sect, on a Sunday afternoon.
And the rumors that we may frequently hear about the black and the brown side, well, it's real.
Rumors. Rumors about the black side of Martinsville. What rumors? What rumors? That was never clearly stated. Now, let me have a moment. I don't like any of this. Okay, white, black, church, state, okay? I said this before, the government is not our daddy. Look, we have problems in this community with folk just alcohol consumption, use of narcotics, and a lot of folk could have quite a bit more money, let's all be honest, if they just would cut down on their vices. Cigarettes ain't cheap. Lottery tickets, you ain't gonna win. And you go down to Caesars in Danville, you are going to lose. You'd have more money if you'd cut down on your vices. Marriage and divorce, we got a bunch of divorce. And then someone says, well, the divorce isn't that bad. Well, only because people are not getting married like they used to. Kids that don't have both parents at home. Look, the government does not fix those things. And when we start talking about what does, church, the truth, the gospel, Jesus, the law, I'm saying the law of God, those are the things that fix us. And I don't care if you're getting the Bible out of a white man, black man, Chinese. I do not care what you look like in your skin color. Is it from the Bible? So look here, there's neither Jew nor Greek. I believe that, okay? And I've said this before. Can I tell you too? These type of talks are difficult because I can't please everybody. Yeah, and you can't please everybody, but boy, you sure can almost upset everybody. I'm doing this broadcast tonight because you're my neighbor, okay? We live here together. I'm going to see you. I'm going to pass by you, okay? The lawyer says to Jesus just said, you love your neighbor as yourself. And this guy says, well, who is my neighbor? You are my neighbor. We live in the community together. You read the newspaper. I see you at the grocery store. I'll see you at city council. I'm going to pass you on Main Street, just on and on and on. I went into Goodwill one day, told some dude, I said, I like that hat. Thank you. And then I could hear them as they got away from each other. The woman says to the man, do you not know who that was? You're going to know me. I'm your neighbor. What's the job of the government? Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, but if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he bears not the sword in vain. Hey man, I like getting to call the police when ruckus is going on. You know, the city got a noise ordinance. I appreciate the noise ordinance being enforced. Why have it on the books if we're not going to enforce it? I like that. Just on and on and on. This is what does the Bible say. This is what it looks like on your smart device. All you have to do is Google YouTube Johnny Robertson. You'll just get about 2,000 videos that are archived on various topics. We have numerous debates. My dad and I have both debated PhDs. We have both debated Calvinists. We've debated Pentecostals. We both debated the Nation of Islam. Just lots of debates on there. And then we have a school that we do where we teach a morning Bible class for 2 hours every Tuesday morning. All those, the whole Old Testament, we went through the whole Old Testament. Google YouTube Johnny Robertson, that's what it will look like. My phone number is 276-806-3641. That's my direct phone number. My email address is calebgrobertson@gmail.com. If you email me, we'll get you on the informer list, which is a page and a half Bible article. It comes out every Sunday morning. Page and a half. Biblical edification, information, education, and it's free just because we want to try to do our part. Now, back to what we're doing. This is how it started out. I never understood, still don't, because I didn't get an answer to it. Why is the Missionary Baptist and the Pentecostal using the city logo as if they have backing from the city? Greg Hodges is the president of the local community college. He's also the pastor at an independent Baptist sect. And independent Baptists are hellfire and brimstone. He is supposed to be rough. He didn't say a thing about the woman preacher in there. He hasn't said a thing about, Mayor Jones saying, oh, it's good that we had a Muslim mouthpiece. I said Greg Hodges was the worst offender at that unity meeting because Greg Hodges likes to posture himself as the most conservative. Well, I don't get any religious help off of Greg Hodges. Then this is the advertisement from the prayer unity meeting, and it says peace plus partnership. How is it that the city's in partnership with the local sectarian groups? Why is the mayor on a Pentecostal television station? This is basically the runner and the backer. I think his name is Richard Shively. Definitely his last name is Shively. And he's like the backbone of BTW 21. This is the Muslim mouthpiece that Mayor Jones said it was good that he was there. And then, of course, we've done this already behind him. Behind him is a picture of who he believes to be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. He says Muhammad is Jehovah. He says Elijah Muhammad is the Christ, and Louis Farrakhan is the Holy Ghost, the Comforter. Now, this is what we've been covering, but now here we are. Right after all those events, the mayor asks local pastors for a prayer meeting. Nation of Islam shows up. You got an independent Baptist, doesn't say anything. What is going on? Then you have the city manager. Now, if you don't know how local government goes, the city manager is in charge. Why is the city manager going to the local apostolic sect 3 p.m? Is this city business? Why, if it's not city business, why is she listed as city manager? Because I'm saying not everything that they do in their life has to do with local government. Is she there? Is she a historian? Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Is she a history major? Why is she there? Is she a woman pastor? Shouldn't be. Why is she there? Is this city business? And everybody should be aware. Like you say this. If it's a city meeting, I want to be there. I'm a citizen of the city. If it's a city meeting, I want to be there. Well, me and 2 other white people were in there. And I'm just telling you, in the same way that if black people say they don't want to go inside of a white church, there are white people who don't want to go inside of a black church. So if we're picking places to have city meetings, maybe let's not choose an all-white church or an all-black church. The Church of Christ in Martinsville is not one or the other. We're not a white church. We're not a black church. And, it's what I said too. It always comes down to white and black, Mexican, Asian, on and on and on. If you have faith and you're baptized into the body, I don't care what color you are. But this is what we've got going on. Now, this is Martinsville. And I want you to listen to this.
Proudly say to you today, the city government is becoming more diverse. And the quote and the rumors that we may frequently hear about the black and the brown side, well, it's real. We serve in a community that is 51% black and brown while representing less than 20% of our city workforce. But just as hard as I've worked to get to where I am and waited for my time so I can proudly say to you today, the city government is becoming more diverse. And the quote and the rumors that we may frequently hear about the black and the brown side, well, it's real. We serve in a community that is 51% black and brown while representing less than 20% of our city workforce.
So, to me, it sounds like the idea is what I said earlier. It's just gender, skin color. We want to hire more women. Why? Just for the sake of having more women around? And we want to pay attention to what the skin color is. If you're keeping statistics like that, then it sounds like we're gunning for hiring more people that are not white. Look, I meant to say this too at the beginning. I'm not hurting, okay? None of this is hurting me in that degree. But I don't know that her statements are nearly as accurate as what you think they are. You say, what do you mean? I don't really know that she is so interested as basically hiring black people like you might think. Based on that conversation, I'm happy to tell you that city government is becoming more diverse. Listen to what she used to be the city manager in Duncanville, Texas. Listen to what she said about her time at Duncanville.
And as I hired individuals, I didn't hire them based on color. I hired them based on qualifications.
So which is it? Are we shooting for making sure that we're diverse, or are we shooting for making sure that we have qualified people? Now, what ends up happening, this is my thing, what ends up happening to you and me, you're black, I'm white, what if like the most qualified people in the discussion ended up being all Mexican and all Asian? I mean, if we're talking about the most qualified for the city government that does what? Not this idea of I'm proud to tell you about diversity. I'm a city government employee and I'm proud to tell you about results. I'm proud to tell you about we're fixing the roads. We're fixing our water problems, right? We got water problems all over. We're going to have the roads covered when it snowed. Good. We're going to keep the power on when it snowed. Good. Hey, by the way, it's very diverse up there. Are the guys or the people driving the snow trucks? Any of them women? Hey, when I see people picking up the trash on Tuesday and Thursdays, I want to see some women on the truck. I don't care. What are we talking about here? Diversity in city government? What are we talking about? She said, when I was in Duncanville, she said, I didn't hire based on color. I hired based on merit. Well, that doesn't exactly match up with the talk that I heard Sunday at Mount Sinai Apostolic.
Came from Miss Anonymous. Speaking of the changes in our city organization, in fact, Miss Anonymous said that the city of Duncanville is changing and the people are not the same. And many of our longstanding employees are being replaced by people of one race. And if you walk around, you'll notice that one race is just African Americans. I thought, wow. I got nervous. I said, well, let me check the statistics and see, have we changed? So I had a sheet and showed all the employees we had when I came and when we came, and I think we increased by 1%.
Let's hear it again.
I came and when we came, and I think we increased by 1%. So yeah.
She increased what? In the local government of Duncanville, Texas, in her time frame, black employment in local government increased by 1%. So she comes to Mount Sinai Apostolic and she says, I'm happy to tell you that the local government here in Martinsville, Virginia is becoming more diverse. Listen, it was diverse before she got here. What are we talking about? Former vice mayor, former city councilman, former vice mayor, superintendent of the Martinsville School District, president of the high school, vice president of the high school, and Alan Preston is running for the new pope. If we're talking about qualifications and ability, I don't understand how she gets to come into Mount Sinai and say, I'm happy to report that we're becoming more diverse. And I'm asking the question, what more does Mrs. Benavides want? Now, here's a clip that she even herself said in an online class that she taught, I think about 11 months ago.
So now, we're in 2010. We have an African-American president. How many of you, as we start this class, feel that we have achieved full diversity in the United States based on it? Hands went up. I guarantee you over half the room raised their hands and said, it's done. So if you think about it, I think it was a turning point.
Now, she's talking to a class of like college students. And she says, how many people think that now that we've had a black president that we've achieved full diversity in America? And she said about, if not half, more than half raised their hand. And in the later part of this class, she'll say that was white and black students who are in agreement that we have made it as far as diversity goes. But what's the only thing lacking? Well, now we got to have a woman president. Why are we talking in things of skin color and gender when it comes to decision making? But you hear how she said it? They viewed it, younger people viewed it as that's it. We have come up. Now, I want to say this too about Alan Preston gunning for the Pope. I think that Pope Francis looks as foolish as this does. Pope Francis is white. But I want to tell you this when she brought up Barack Obama. You are never going to see Barack Obama in this nonsensical garb. This has zero to do with the Bible. And in fact, the New Testament mocks this. Jesus said they love to have long robes. They love to make broad their phylacteries. It's just to be seen. He's got this great big staff, and then where is it behind him? Y'all see that? The seal, stamp of approval, Michael Penn at the Galilean House of Worship. Great big cross, big sash, robe, collar, wearing his beanie. Nonsensical. You'll never see Barack Obama doing that. Now, I'm going to move forward. I would like to get some answers. Is it city business? Was she there on city business? What is she shooting for? She said, I'm here today to tell you that Martinsville local government is becoming more diverse. Well, is the goal to just have like a 100% black city council? Because I think it was in Duncanville where she was working, another place. Someone came to a meeting and said, what are your plans for a declining white population? I don't understand the finish line. Because the government, local government, is what? Economics, education, law enforcement. And what we're hearing about is gender, skin color. Now, I attended both of these events. This is at First Baptist East Martinsville with Charles Whitfield. This one was with J.C. Richardson, and Mrs. Benavides was the special guest speaker. I want to tell you something as we move forward, and this isn't a joke, okay? When I got to Mount Sinai, they had men at Mount Sinai Apostolic that had badges that said security. I didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to get to go in. But I came up, older gentleman, and he had one hand on his cane, and then he had another free hand. And so I just walking by him because I'm going through the front door. And I gave him a fist bump. How you doing? And he goes, and he just said, what's your name? And I said, my name's Caleb Robertson. I just kept walking. And I heard him say, Robinson. Just kept walking. I'm sure he knew who I was. Got on the inside, recognized one of the local deputies. I don't know if she still works at the city office, but I asked her, I said, aren't you a deputy at the municipal building? Her name's Mildred. Visited with Mildred, hi, how you doing? My dad was there, and my dad stood outside and greeted people as they came in, and a lot of people, I got to tell you, about the only people who really are mad at my dad are the pastors. Most people, I think my dad had a good visit with. I got inside, I did hear one lady whisper to another lady, she said, Johnny Robertson's here. Johnny Robertson is here. I sit down, ushers were friendly to me. Like I said, there were 3 other Christians there who went with me. But aside from us, there was only 2 other white people in the room, and I wasn't affiliated with them. I did not feel unwelcome. And, different city councilmen were there, across the way. Rayshawn Gravely made eye contact with me. I see him, he sees me. I give him a nod, he gives me a nod. I gave L.C. Jones a book while I was there. L.C. shook my hand, chit-chat, how you doing? I did not feel unwelcome. And I didn't feel like I had eyes darting at me. But I do want to say this. The rudest person that I encountered when I was at Mount Sinai Apostolic Church was Melody Cartwright. And I have down here this white liberal DEI feminist, and who was in there. Look, y'all, she's not a member at Mount Sinai. So if she's not a member at Mount Sinai, what's she doing? She's fishing for black votes. And look at this, what she said about me on Facebook. I don't care. She said, this Caleb character is a complete snake, not a man of God, or even a decent person. Oh, beyond my religion, good night. I'm not even a good person. I'm not a good dad. I'm not a good neighbor. I'm not a good husband. And whatever. That stuff doesn't bother me. I've had loads of that. But I'm sitting on my pew at Mount Sinai, and the ushers bring her in. I see her. And when she sees me, it's like disgust that she can't hide. Nobody looked at me in Mount Sinai the way Melody Cartwright looked at me. Unbelievable. And then later in the evening, my dad and we went over to First Baptist East Martinsville to Charles Whitfield's event. And we were sitting in the main lobby, and we were waiting for Charles Whitfield to come up. I spoke with a deacon, told the deacon what I wanted to do, what my business was with Mr. Charles. The deacon says, hold on, let me go talk to him. I'll come back, I'll talk to you. Good. I saw other people in there that I knew, having a good visit. And then in comes Melody Cartwright. And it's disgust all over again. And she goes, oh, they're still here. Fantastic. And I said, yeah, it is fantastic. Listen to this.
Hi. I can't think of your name. We talked on Facebook. Sort of talk. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah. Melody Cartwright. No, you were disruptive words. It appears to me that you are. How? I said the whole thing quietly.
Were we disruptive? I'm not a member at Mount Sinai Apostolic. I don't believe like Pentecostals believe, They don't heal anybody. I don't heal anybody. They don't speak in tongues. And I don't even try to pretend like I speak in tongues. But I sat there for over an hour. I visited. I'm hearing it, taking it in. I listen to the choir. I don't say a thing. And Melody Cartwright says that my general presence is disruptive.
It appears to me that you are. How? I said the whole thing quietly. Did I make a ruckus? No, but you're always speaking negatively. I don't have freedom of speech. Others, churches. Well, if I were you, I wouldn't be coming to the church, speak negatively, and then come into the church. It does seem disrespectful.
Let me tell you something. Melody Cartwright says it's disrespectful for me to even come on their grounds. Like I said, she's there just fishing for votes. Across the way, I spot a white lady. I don't know who she is. Very few people are going to reach across the way, right? Citizens of Martinsville are just going to respect the quiet, silent, fictitious wall that is the wall between white church, black church. I am not. I do not believe in that. I've been to Kelvin Perry's Presbyterian church when they were giving it was a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon lecture on a history of protest, and I went to it. And I'm going to hear, and I want to be a part of the conversation. And can I tell you too, this people are people. There are people on both sides that would say, when I go into churches, I hear people say this, you ain't going to change his mind, and they ain't going to change his mind. Well, I don't believe in that. I believe that minds can be changed. And so she's giving me this stuff about you shouldn't even be here.
I'm not a member of the church, so I really don't have to. Yeah, you're playing vocal. I think it's disrespectful. Yeah, just because I disagree. Correct. Okay. To disagree is disrespectful. Okay, thank you. And come to the church. Well, what would I do? Talk about them and never show up? That's what you had me do? I would have you have respect for the church. I think I was respectful sitting over an hour. Come to the church. Well, what would I do? Talk about them and never show up? That's what you had me do?
The other part of it too is that I guess she can't comprehend. And I don't mean that in an ugly way, but I'm just saying I don't have to dislike anybody just because I disagree with them. And I thought we all used to say, let's disagree without being disagreeable. Now, here's the next one. Well, Caleb, what were you doing there? Well, my city manager was coming there. I want to hear what my city manager has to say. Number one, that's why I was there. Number one, I was there because my city manager was on the ticket. And I want to know. Because I just went to the last city council meeting. Is something going to be discussed that I need to be in the know about? Now, what I did do was I had J.C. Richardson autograph my booklet. What you should know about the Contemporary Church of Christ by James C. Richardson. I go up, it's hard for me to believe, okay? I also have the program from the day, right, set over an hour. But I see him, hello, Mr. Richardson, that's what I call him. Hello, Mr. Richardson, hello. And I said, I came by, because I wanted you to autograph my book. There it is. And he saw it and he kind of smiled. And I said, did you know I had one of these? And he said, no, I didn't know you had one of these. And I said, well, I want to know if you'd autograph it. And this isn't a joke. I said, but I want to know if you would autograph it. And this is the part I don't believe. He said, I'll do that. So I pull out my marker and he goes, this is the thing. He says, what's your name? Come on now. So I tell him, I said, it's Caleb. I said, C-A-L-E-B, just like in the Bible. And he writes down, he says, with prayers for your ministry, JCR. I just did not believe that he did not know who I was, but when I told people that he said, with prayers for your ministry, they said, maybe he just doesn't pay attention. He knows. I've seen him coming out of the Martinsville Bulletin office, and he gave me grief. But anyway, this is where someone says, Caleb, that wasn't a sincere gesture. You don't mean that. And people have heard me say, I think that J.C. Richardson can be one of the meanest people in town. And I reference back to that meeting about localized gambling. I thought he was rude to Leonard R. Jones. Still do. It wasn't fake any more than taking a photograph with Brian Edwards was fake. And someone says, well, look, my dad debated both of these people. It wasn't much of this debate because J.C. Richardson wouldn't let my dad talk for over an hour. Broke his own contract. But he's a character that is in the story. And Brian Edwards is a character that's in the story. My dad debated Brian Edwards, who in his background is an independent fundamental Baptist. Then he kind of started getting off of that being a Baptist business, and then he joined himself up with a Southern Baptist. Makes no sense. But after he debated with my dad, Brian said, getting ready for the debate with Johnny Robertson, he said, was some of the hardest study I ever had to do. Now, if I'm not wrong, afterwards from the debate, Hope Church, Blessed Hope Baptist Church, after the debate with Johnny Robertson, they started taking communion every Sunday. They installed a baptistry into their building that they did not have before, and they ordained, or what would you call, just let's say they ordained elders that they did not have before. That's very good. Very good stuff. So that's my classmate Drew. We went out and we gave Brian, this was obviously years ago, we gave Brian a copy of Muscle and a Shovel. We wanted to get a picture with him. Why? Because he's a character in the story, and these are characters that I do not hate. Now, Caleb, why'd you go to J.C. Richardson? I wanted to get an autograph. I wanted to hear my city manager and what she had to say because she was advertised as the city manager. So I wanted to hear what she had to say, and I got an autograph from J.C. Richardson. Then the next one was, I took Charles Whitfield, an expensive antique book written by this man. It was published in 1971, and it was published by Vanderbilt University Press. That's where he got his PhD. And in 1971, Ed Harrell, David Edwin Harrell, Ed Harrell was making the note, yes, historically white denominations in the South used whatever power they had to propel racism. And in 1971, he was trying to do what he could to participate in a salving between white people, black people, and he is a trained historian. So he makes his notes throughout history, and he said there were loads of religious folk that were not just not helpful to the cause, they were actually retarding the cause. And so I went to Charles Whitfield, and I sat in the lobby, like I said, and I do want to say this, because we all know that the music is a disagreement between the Lord's Church and the sectarian groups. I had a headache when I left that building. That music was so loud. And I'm not even just talking about the church. I'm only 31. That was so loud. And I referenced this point because I had to get into Charles's ear to talk with him. He came up this back stairwell. I talked to the deacon. I said, I want to give a gift to Charles Whitfield. Okay. He says, I'll go talk to him. He comes out. Deacon comes back. He says, he'll be with you in a moment. Okay. We sit there a good long while. Music just banging loud. He comes up this back stairwell. He sees me. He doesn't look happy. And I approach him. And I said, I wanted to bring you this book. And I said, I disagree with you. I do talk about you on local television. And I said, but I don't want it to be ugly. I disagree, but I don't want to be unfriendly. I said, so I'm coming over here. And I said, I want to give you this book as an extension of Goodwill. And I said, in the disagreement, it can get tense. I said, but it doesn't have to get ugly. He took the gift from me. And what I said was, I would like to get a picture with you to show people that I don't want it to get ugly. Charles Whitfield is a soul, okay? Charles Whitfield is my neighbor. I wrote a note in the front of his expensive antique, Charles, I am your neighbor, Caleb Robertson. I asked to take a photo with him. It doesn't change the disagreement, and here I am tonight talking about it. But when I asked to take a photo with him, he said, no, that would portray the wrong image to the people. He said, that would make it look like we're friends. And he said, Caleb, I am not your friend. I saw Garrett Dillard. Garrett Dillard came on the broadcast with me. When we had just multiple shootings in Martinsville, Garrett Dillard, at this time, had not been elected as a county supervisor. He was campaigning as a county supervisor, and I invited him to come on television and talk with me. He got to be with me. I'm saying, if you're on a campaign, a political campaign, TV time is fantastic. And he got to come on for an hour. Look. It's the same Sunday. I still have J.C. Richardson's book. I told Charles Whitfield, I said I went to J.C. Richardson's church so he could autograph my book. I said, I do not agree with you. I don't agree with Richardson. I said, but I don't want it to be ugly. And with that, look, y'all, that is his gift-wrapped book that I told my wife, wrap this book for me so I can take it to Charles Whitfield. It says Charles, and Charles Whitfield said no. I am not your friend. That does not hurt me. I am a grown man, okay? L.C. Jones, I'm mad. He said, I'm mad at you. That does not hurt me. I am a grown man. I can disagree with everybody and still call you my neighbor. Caleb, we're not friends. I do not regret giving him that book at all. Jesus said, if you love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? And if you salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Look, I'll give books to people even when they say they're not my friend, when they say they're mad at me. And let me tell you, there are people inside of the Church of Christ that I mail books to, and I am sure they're shocked when the mail comes and Caleb Robertson is mailing them a book. Oh, I thought he hated my guts. Well, you know, people say that sometimes, but I don't hate your guts. I don't hate his guts. I just wanted to give him a book. Now, white, black, church, state. I'm going to give you some more notes on Mrs. Benavides, her talk.
Proudly say to you today, the city government is becoming more diverse. And the quote and the rumors that we may frequently hear about the black and the brown side, well, it's real. We serve in a community that is 51% black and brown while representing less than 20% of our city workforce.
Now, we heard nothing about like results. We heard nothing about taxes, people's property taxes, people's vehicular taxes. Electric vehicles are making everybody have to pay higher taxes on their gas vehicles or fuel-efficient vehicles. We didn't hear any of that. We just heard color and gender. Now, I want to ask you a series of questions, okay? What if I came to the meeting at Mount Sinai Apostolic Church and I wanted everybody to know I was there? And I said it this way. I said, I got everybody in the room's attention. I said, hey, black folks, I know how y'all feel. The TV series Roots was on the other night, and I watched it. I now understand slavery and torture just as you understand it. We all know how that would have gone. But that's exactly what she said. Me saying that I watched Roots and now therefore I understand how you feel, y'all would have been asking me to leave. Okay? Listen to this.
I entered 6th grade in 1977. It was when the miniseries Roots was first released. You see, I was born in 1969, and I did not experience the civil rights movement. And Martin Luther King was known to many. He was the person on the back of our church fans. Black history was not discussed or taught in Texas schools. It was the first time I truly saw and understood what slavery meant.
She told that room that Roots was her education that caused her to understand slavery. I can't tell you how many times I have either heard it or been told. And the last one that I had it tell me to, and I tell you, we had a good phone call, and we ended the phone call on good terms, but Rico Johnson told me, he said, Caleb, you can't understand how a black man thinks because you're not black. And I said, Rico, you can't understand how a white person thinks because you're not white. And he said, that's true. Well, y'all, if I can't understand you and you can't understand me, then why don't we just stop trying to understand each other? If it's impossible, y'all, you do not get to claim an internal understanding of slavery that you didn't go through when you watch Roots. If you're picking up your information by watching Roots, then I can pick up the information by watching Roots. Listen to this.
As I entered middle school, my grandparents, out of concern for my progress, took me out of public school and placed me in a private school.
She just told everybody I didn't go through the civil rights movement. I didn't either. I'm 31 years old. So she tells everybody I didn't go through the civil rights movement, but I watched Roots. And when I watched Roots, I was in a private school, an all-white private school.
I had no clue at the time that they could truly not afford it, but they were willing to sacrifice everything for my education and advancement. This experience awakened me. First, as the only one of 3 black students in the entire school, and secondly, I was in school with people who had wealth that far exceeded any that I'd ever seen before. In fact, most of my classmates had housekeepers who were similar to my grandmother as a housekeeper, and they were our family friends.
Wait a minute. Growing up in a house that doesn't have a housekeeper is not particular to poor black people. We didn't have a housekeeper. No one in the neighborhoods that I grew up in had a housekeeper. This talk makes no sense.
I entered 6th grade in 1977. It was when the miniseries Roots was first released. You see, I was born in 1969, and I did not experience the civil rights movement. And Martin Luther King was known to many. He was the person on the back of our church fans. My legacy and that of my family comes from picking cotton in the South.
What? You went to a white private school. You have 2 college degrees, and what you learned about civil rights and slavery came from Roots? Y'all, not every black person agrees with the portrayal in Roots. Alex Haley? And let's all be honest, how many people are reading like Roots? Roots is a great big novel. Is that standard reading? No, that's my city manager. I'm a citizen. And this is what I go to hear, that she went to white private school in Texas and watched Roots, and then she got an understanding of torture? I understand torture. I watch Roots on TV. Now, hey, what if I said it? Unbelievable. Now, that's where it was. If I had said that, y'all would have been asking me to leave. Now, can I ask this question? There's a reason why I put that. I'm not trying to be ugly, but that's going to come up in a moment. If I had said that, y'all would have been asking me to leave. How is it that Roots is an endearing topic for a room full of black citizens that did not endure slavery together? She said I didn't even go through civil rights movement. What is endearing about that? Did anybody call anybody Chicken George? No, not that I heard. So how was that moment where a lady who's not from this area, she's down in Texas, right? That's not Appalachia. So she's down in Texas, and she goes to an all-white private school. Then she goes to a really good high school, and then she goes to 2 different colleges. And she comes up here, and she says, now, I didn't go through civil rights, but I understand torture and slavery because I watched Roots on TV. How is Roots endearing? Me and 2 white ladies in that room. The only note of commonality that was in that room when Roots got brought up is that it villainizes white people. Now, Caleb, villainizes white people?
Proudly say to you today, the city government is becoming more diverse. And the quote and the rumors that we may frequently hear about the black and the brown side, well, it's real. We serve in a community that is 51% black and brown while representing less than 20% of our city workforce. But just as hard as I've worked to get to where I am.
She said, I didn't go through civil rights. I watched Roots instead. What if I came in there and I said, hey, y'all, I am the blackest white boy that you are ever going to meet. I have an idea that I'm upsetting people. I don't mean to. But I'm 31, and my generation is different than my dad's generation, which is different than my granddad's generation, right? What if I had come in the room and said, I am the blackest white boy y'all are ever going to meet. When I go down to Walsh's Chicken, I order chitlins. That is exactly what she said. I am the whitest black woman that you are ever going to meet. What does that mean?
watched. I had courageous conversations where people would say, well, we were just not sure our city was ready for an African American. And I hit them back because I'm a sarcastic person. I say things to make you uncomfortable. I said, and you didn't realize that I was going to be the whitest Black girl you ever met. And they're like, yeah, you really are. And I laughed it off and thought, but I want you to.
So I introduced myself to everybody at the Mount Sinai Apostolic, and I said, if they ain't anything about me, I'm the blackest white boy y'all ever gonna know. You know, she starts out this talk on YouTube. What is it? DEI programs in local government with Aretha Ferrell-Benavides. She starts out this discussion by telling a story about a phone call that she had, where she said, based on my voice, people can't tell that I'm black. She said she had a phone call with a real estate agent who called her Teresa rather than Aretha. And he says, this Teresa? And then it comes out later, she said, no, my name's Aretha. And then it starts like going through, and then he says something about being African American. She goes, well, I am African American. She said, but based on the way I talk, you couldn't understand that. What is she saying? Because then she tells these people down in Duncanville, I'm the whitest black person that you're ever going to meet. And this is where I say, what does that mean? How does a white person talk and act as compared to how black people talk and act? Is it voice timbre or is it lack of ebonics? My city manager was talking at an apostolic sect. And what she said to the whole audience is, she said, I am happy to report that we now have more diversity in the local government. Well, I say we've already had 2 vice mayors that were black and city councilmen who were black. Martinsville School District has a black superintendent. The principal at the high school is black. The assistant principal, one of them is black, and then the other assistant principal is a white woman. Where is it? Yeah, this one. Listen.
Black woman got a neighbor button.
So you're saying that...
And the black woman is Miss Universe.
You're saying...
She are the original.
Woman, she are the original. Not answering my question about Vester. Like, you've been doing good. You've been doing really good just answering my stuff. But right, I don't know where the other one went. When I was with Mayor Jones, he said, I thought you and I was aight. Now, I just don't understand. This is what I'm saying. My confusion is I don't know what Mrs. Benavides wants to do. Because when she's down in Duncanville, she says, I do not hire based on skin color. I hire based on merit and credentials, ability. Well, then she comes up here and she makes it all about gender and race, diversity, nothing about results, nothing about ability. And then she just continues to make these statements that if anybody else had said them would be absolutely nonsensical. I watch Roots. I understand slavery. I understand torture because I watch Roots. I'm the whitest black woman that you're ever going to meet. And the way that she said it too about the real estate agent got confused. Her name was Teresa. And once he heard that it was Aretha, then he started saying, oh, well, are you African American? And she tells a story about her family is very diverse. And she tells a story about her children. She said, my kids have an Uncle Dennis and then they also have an Uncle Tyrone. Look, I can't help this stuff. I just went into the building to see what the city manager was doing at a local charismatic holiness sect. And then I just get an hour earful of all this stuff. What if I said this? Come on, black folks. Look past the fact that I attended an all-white private school, have 2 college degrees, one of which was an all-white college, and now I make $180,000 a year. I look past all that and see that I understand the impoverished black people of Martinsville. That's what she said. I attended a wealthy, all-white private school in Texas. My wealthy classmates had housemaids. My family didn't have a housemaid. My family did not. I graduated from Southern U in Louisiana and Howard University in D.C. And then she turns around and says, what was the word? She said, something comes from picking cotton. Legacy. My legacy comes from picking cotton. Here's another one. Let me find that one because I wanted to talk about books.
Watched. I had courage.
As I entered middle school, my grandparents, out of concern for my progress, took me out of public school and placed me in a private school. I had no clue at the time that they could truly not afford it, but they were willing to sacrifice everything for my education and advancement. This experience awakened me. First, as the only one of 3 black students in the entire school, and secondly, I was in school with people who had wealth that far exceeded any that I'd ever seen before. In fact, most of my classmates had housekeepers who were similar to my grandmother as a housekeeper, and they were our family friends. I entered 6th grade in 1977. It was when the miniseries Roots was first released. You see, I was born in 1969, and I did not experience the civil rights movement, and Martin Luther King was known to many. He was the person on the back of our church fans. My legacy and that of my family comes from picking cotton in the South, cleaning private homes in wealthier neighborhoods. It comes from cooking meals in Montgomery Ward's cafeteria and driving the school bus in Waco Public School.
No, I want to ask the question too. She moves from picking cotton to what? Cleaning homes. Why is she talking about having a cleaning business as if that's a bad thing? It's not an exclusively black business. Why are we denigrating jobs? The legacy goes from picking cotton to cleaning houses. There's nothing wrong with custodial work. Cleaning houses to cooking meals. There's nothing wrong with cooking meals. Picking cotton, cleaning houses, cooking meals, driving the school bus. Is driving the school bus an exclusively black job? When I grew up, I only went to public school a couple of years. But my bus was bus number 176, and my bus driver was a white man who wore a fedora, and his name was Mr. Austin. I don't understand denigrating having a job. And that's why I say, an all-white private school, 2 college degrees, making $175,000, and then talking as if being a custodian is bad. Talking as if cooking is bad. Driving the school bus is bad. Having 0 income is bad. This comes out of Cardinal News. I was hired, this is the idea. This is me saying it. Cardinal News reported that she was hired on at $175,000. Now I want to show you another video. This was her introduction.
Praise the Lord, everyone.
Praise the Lord.
I am here to introduce our speaker, and I consider it an honor, a joy, a privilege. Ms. Aretha Ferrell-Benavides is a native of Fort Worth, Texas, and has over 30 years of experience as a public servant throughout the United States, spanning beyond municipal government to county, state, and federal government expertise. Her passion for public services has produced significant community engagement, fiscal management, and professional economic development experience. She has served as a political appointee for 6 strong mayors and fulfilled her ultimate career goal of serving as city manager in 4 different communities for the past 10 years. I'm going to give her an applause for that right there.
Now, I have to tell you, as I was sitting there in the pew and this lady said, I'm going to applaud that, I thought, 4 different local governments in 10 years sounds like you can't keep your job. Now, the alternative to I can't keep my job is that I am using people. How? That's like a 2.5 window. 4 different local governments in 10 years. And so what does that basically equal out to? If it happens with us the way that it's happened in her course record, she will leave us $500,000 richer than when she got here. That's why I'm saying I don't think that she, oh, and I have another one. I don't think that she really identified with the audience that day. Who else in the room identified with what she was saying? I learned what I know about civil rights, slavery, and torture through Roots. I went to an all-white private school. And then I have 2 college degrees, and y'all hired me on for a $175,000 salary. Y'all, this was reported by Cardinal News. Another one that I saw said she had already gotten another raise. She was making $185,000. 2-3 years, she's going to leave here at least $500,000 richer than when she got here. So I just don't understand. Now, I do want to say this. I think y'all are getting played. I think the city of Martinsville, right, might be getting played. Listen to what she says about her school teacher when everyone would come in, they talk about Roots. And this is what the school teacher said.
After an episode, my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Bodine, would come to my class and tell everyone that everyone was a slave at one time, and each time he would downplay all that we'd watched the night before. I know now that that is just the type of psychological attempts that many make and take to try to close down and shut down the thoughts of a generation and an awakening.
She says psychological warfare is alive and well in the public school system. In Martinsville public school systems, where the superintendent is not white, the high school principal is not white, she said our 6th grade teacher would shut down everything that we had to say.
Well, in our communities, we got to meet them. And sometimes we got to take baby steps. And I sometimes call it also the Jedi mind trick. You get them to some place and they don't even know they're there.
As I entered middle school, after
Got to meet them. And sometimes we got to take baby steps. And I sometimes call it also the Jedi mind trick. You get them to some place and they don't even know they're there.
Why is it bad for her 6th grade teacher to disagree, but when she disagrees with people, it's called a Jedi mind trick? This book, which is called The Negro by W.E.B. Du Bois, it won't agree with Roots. He's going to say in his book, it's not like white people created slavery. Africans enslaved other Africans. Middle Easterns had slave deals going, like he would say the Mohammedites. The Mohammedites had slave deals going with Africa. Now, the public school system, I'm going to start wrapping up. The public school system, another video where she said history, black history wasn't taught in the school system. So, look, I'm all for history. I got to tell you, I don't like sectioning up history, black history, Jewish history, on and on and on. There's world history, there's American history. But I will say this, I'm all for, this is the Book of Mormon, I'm all for exposing the Book of Mormon that their book says black people are cursed, okay? This is one of the, foundational books of Masonry, Freemasonry. This is Albert Pike's book called Morals and Dogma. It used to just be absolutely known you cannot be a Freemason and be black, okay? I'm all for exposing racism in different entities. Freemasonry, can't be black and be a Mason. Mormons used to not be if you were going to be a Mormon, you couldn't be in their priesthood, which is the basic level entry. So I'm for exposing all that, but I have to tell you, if your whole focus on the school system is history and you think that black people are getting a bad shake because of history, you need to start looking in the biology department. And I'm talking about K through 12, not college level. K through 12, American kids are being taught Darwinism in the public school system, and The Descent of Man by Charles Darwin is going to say that black people are closer to the monkey than I am. Sure, Charles Darwin says I came from a monkey, but he in his note says black people haven't come up like white people have. Look, you got to stop focusing so much on the history aspect and start attacking where it really is. The biology departments and the biology textbooks and evolution, Darwinian evolution, is what's going to be bad in the public school system. Now, that's a note. I have one more, and it's just ridiculous. She goes to an all-white private school, and that's called bad. But when she grows up, she goes to Howard, and she makes reference that J.C. Richardson went to Morehouse. These are, if not all, predominantly black schools. And when I say this, what if I attended What if I attended that meeting and said, hey, when I attended an all-white college, I was the president of an all-white fraternity called Kappa 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 Incorporated? And what if like that was my yearbook photo? You'd be incensed.
Four different communities in the past 10 years. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and a Master of Arts in Public Administration from Howard University in Washington, D.C. Mrs. Ferrell-Benavides is committed to serving in the field of public administration and is a member of the International City County Management Association, the National Forum for Black Public Administrators, the Texas City Managers Association, and the National Academy of Public Administration class. Mrs. Ferrell-Benavides is a life member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which is how, even though I am meeting her for the first time, I have a special bond with her. Let us give her...
Sorority, though they've never met, creates a special bond. I was president of an all-black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated. I just don't get it. I mean, there are loads of people that could tell me they went to the same religious school that I went to. It wouldn't mean a thing to me. This is my city manager. That's why I went. I didn't care that it was in a black church. It's my city manager. I want to go hear why they're advertising her as a city manager on this ticket. Is it city business? Is it theological? It was everything but theological. Now, that was not my yearbook photo. That was former Virginia Governor Ralph Northam's yearbook photo. He's the one in blackface. And he's not the governor anymore, but he was a Democrat. A lot of people just seem to not mind when that happened. Now, can I tell you this too as we go out? Religion of Martin Luther King wasn't even discussed at that meeting. It's held at a denomination. It's held at a sect. It's held on Sunday. We're going to talk about Martin Luther King. Not an aspect of religion. Martin Luther King's religion wasn't discussed. It was just a political rally. That's all it was. Now, if the religion of Martin Luther King was discussed, you would have notes like this. King was a remarkable orator and advocate for the black community, viewed the pulpit as a platform to advance his cause while rejecting the core tenets of Christianity. Go down further. King did not believe in the deity of Christ or in the resurrection from the dead. Furthermore, he also rejected the doctrines of the virgin birth, the second coming of Christ, and the existence of a literal hell. It is clear that Martin Luther King Jr., with his outright denial of Christ's divinity, cannot be considered a Christian. If we had talked about his religion at Mount Sinai or First Baptist, and these were the notes we would have had. Someone says, Caleb, you just don't like Martin Luther King. You know who wrote this article? A black man, Virgil Walker. Well, Caleb, one black person doesn't represent all black people. Do you know in her talk, I'm done, but do you know that in Mrs. Benavides' talk she said, remember when Obama was elected, we were all so proud. Not every black person voted for Barack Obama. Not every black person agrees with Roots. Jesus said, turn the other cheek. And to him that smites thee on the one cheek, offer also the other. Luke 6:29. Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. But I didn't hit anybody. And the people I've grown up with had the same rights that I do. That's why I said, there's my granddad's generation, there's my dad's generation, and there's my generation. And even in Mrs. Benavides' generation, she did not go through civil rights out of her own mouth. She went to an all-white private school. She has 2 college degrees. And she's making $175,000 a year. Moses said, don't mistreat Egyptians. They just come out of Egyptian bondage, and Moses said, thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And this is the generations I was talking about. There's the generation that came out of Egypt, and then there's the generation that prospered underneath King David and King Solomon, and the two are not the same. And this is where the unification really comes from. Look, y'all, unification does not come from alma maters, and it doesn't come from political parties. And, you know, for the life of me, the quote that came from Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Sidney Poitier said to his dad, the difference between me and you is you view yourself as a black man, and I just view myself as a man. I view myself as a Christian. And that's just it. Now, I was raised by 2 Christians. I graduated high school. I got married. I didn't make a baby until after I got married, and I am a hard worker. I mean, at some point, you got to give me some credit that I made some pretty good decisions. But the best decision that I have, and it is the surrounding principle of all my life decisions, try to have it be my surrounding principle, is that I'm a Christian. For you're all the children of God by faith in Christ Jesus, for as many of you have been baptized into Christ, but put on Christ. There's neither Jew nor Greek. There's just you're all one in Christ. Galatians 3:26-28. Hey, as I go out, my question just to City Council is, what is going on? City Manager, what is going on? How come there's so much city business happening in the denominations? If people want to participate, get them in a government building. Put it where people all want to come, feel comfortable coming, what have you, but I just don't understand what's going on, and I still haven't gotten any answers. If you're watching on Star News tonight, you got more What Does the Bible Say coming up. My dad, 9 o'clock, Star News. Here's my number, 276-806-3641. I love you, and the people I disagree with, no matter what your color is, I don't have to hate you, dislike you just because I disagree with you. But I am your neighbor, and I'm trying to be a part of the conversation. God loves you. God bless you. Keep asking, what does the Bible say?